Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto.
In a world on the brink of disruption, two men will bring you clarity by interviewing some of the most intelligent and influential names in the blockchain world. Welcome to Show Me the Crypto with your hosts, Wade Patterson and Ulf Lonergan.
Well, hi there and welcome to Show Me the Crypto. My name is Wade Patterson.
And I'm Ulf Lonergan.
We're a couple of friends from Canada who love learning about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, and we're happy you're along for the ride. Whether you're a crypto virgin or you know your way around the block, we hope our interviews with some of the most intelligent and influential people in the blockchain space help deliver you with value. And on this episode, we're joined by Hamzah Khan, Head of DeFi at Polygon. Hamzah first heard about Bitcoin in 2017 while in college studying mechanical engineering. After briefly stepping away from the crypto scene during the last bear market, Hamzah returned in 2020 and joined Polygon in early 2021. Hamzah's current pinned tweet reads, "Eat, pray, love, degen." Hamzah, welcome to Show Me the Crypto.
Yeah, that one was, the last one was interesting. No one has pointed that out. That was fun. Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I'm Hamzah. I lead all the DeFi side of things at Polygon Technology. Polygon is a Ethereum scaling solution, is the leading Ethereum scaling solution right now, with a bunch of scaling technologies out there, whether it is the Polygon proof of stake chain or ZK rollup, ZK EVM chain, or you can also build your own app specific chain. So basically, if you want to control everything on the chain, you can set up your own chain, set up validators and everything. We can go into that more. And yeah, Polygon is probably the most vibrant and leading in terms of number of users onboarded every day, retention, and all these like good metrics, volume. Recently, like last week, I remember Polygon DeFi surpassed BSC in volume, 24-hour volume. And this keeping in mind that Polygon has like 1/3 of the TVL of BSC, and no really like any other exchange backing, which some of these have. So yeah, that was pretty interesting to see.
Well, we're really excited about this conversation for a couple of reasons. We were saying before we hit the record button that, you know, we're 80 some episodes into this and we haven't really dove deep on scaling solutions. And we've mentioned Polygon a number of times, but we haven't had somebody representing Polygon actually on the podcast. So we appreciate you taking the time to do that. Before we jump into those things, though, we want to learn a little bit more about you. And what I find is really interesting is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like your entry to crypto and kind of your actions are similar to Ulf and myself in the sense that, you know, you discover crypto 2017-ish, and then you leave during the last bear market, which is the same thing we did as well. And then we returned in 2020. And I'm curious, was that exactly how it played out? And do you have any regrets? Like looking back, do you wish, darn it, I wish I didn't leave during that time? What are your thoughts?
Oh, for sure. Like that bear market was legendary. Obviously, price went from 1400 to 88. For sure, it was legendary. But more than that, like I was in college, and I had read like everyone, you know, back in college, that first site. It was not first, but it was like the one which brought in too much attention from general public, you know, when everyone was putting blockchain in their name and the stock price of that company was going through the moon. That was the trend back in, and that's how, yeah, it was a very weird time. But I kind of understood the philosophical importance of Bitcoin, to some extent, the technical side of things as well, like why it is important and why, you know, Hashcash was different from Bitcoin and why those things were different, and all the references in the Bitcoin white paper. Didn't really look into Ethereum, like did look into it, but didn't completely understand why it is important. And with CryptoKitties and all that, didn't do too much. But in like 2019, was one of my friend, he's my best friend. He's also like one of the core protocol engineers in one very good protocol. I won't name. So he's great, and he was telling me he didn't leave the space, but he was like passively in the space, and he kept shilling me like, bro, look into Ethereum properly. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll look into it. But then DeFi happened. And this was like COVID, everyone was shut in their homes with no life, no nothing to do. And then DeFi happened in summer, and I did not use too much because I had like 3 jobs at that time during COVID. Like I had left my job at Citi. My first job was at Citibank. I was building machine learning models for their investment banking. I left it before COVID, and I had like 3 jobs during COVID, teaching GRE, GMAT, TOEFL, IELTS, as well as coding in the morning and just doing some side gigs with friends. And then, so that's after DeFi summer, I read Compound white paper and Uniswap white paper. And then because I had a background in technology as well as finance, because my Citibank experience, and I was like buying stocks and like stuff like that. And that's when I was in India, and as in an emerging market, when you see a product market fit like Compound or any lending market, or Uniswap, a decentralized exchange, and then it hit me. I was like, bro, like, if this works, this is like a global bank, global, transparent, censorship-resistant bank. There is no bigger thing in the world than access to financial tools. And that's where it hit me. I was like, okay, this is it. Like, if this works, let's figure out how to do it. And this was like August 2020, September. And that's how I started building some stuff during hackathons. I had day jobs, but I started looking more into it, started using everything. And I would just, one suggestion to everyone is just use everything. That everything that is there, you'll learn finance, you'll learn DeFi, you'll learn crypto. If you don't use it, and there are a lot of people who don't use it, who will be like, oh, this is the future. And I'm like, bro, just use it. You'll read the documentation, read the code. So yeah, that's how I got started, and I joined Polygon January 2021. This is still MATIC. So yeah, fun days.
That's awesome. I love the story of how you sort of got sucked back in thanks to your friends sort of suggesting you look into it a little more, and you had that aha moment. But you kind of jumped ahead to, and I joined Polygon. How did you actually, how did you get from just learning the tools and seeing, having that aha moment to landing head of DeFi at Polygon? That as far as a title and position goes, it seems like quite a leap from someone who wasn't even in the space before.
Yeah, that's a funny story. This was me in 2000, like I said, after DeFi summer, I was just using everything, and I was all the time in Aave Discord, Synthetics Discord. I practically learned everything in Synthetics Discord. And I'm sad that Synthetics is not on Polygon. And I've spoken to Kine a couple of times about this. But yeah, I literally learned everything in Synthetics Discord. I was asking random questions to their everyone is there, like Degen Spartan, Alex Ivanovic, all of these OG people that you see today were there, and I was just getting started, and these guys were big OG people, and I was just asking stupid questions, and everyone used to answer me. Even Kine used to answer most of the questions, and he used to write paragraphs of suggestions in that. So I was like, okay, if this guy is he's the founder, and he clearly has more important things to do in his life than answering random people on Discord with cartoon characters. And then I realized, okay, it's maybe not that intimidating that people think it to be from the outside. And then I started using everything, and same happened. I think that was this was before MATIC, before anything. And I joined their Discord. I was 10 hours a day there in those Discords. But then I was also because I had a tech background, I was joining a lot of these hackathons. And this was all Ethereum, Ethereum main chain. This was no Polygon, no BSC, no nothing. I was into a lot of hackathons. And one thing I noticed was like in these hackathons, there are sponsors, right? Like all these hackathons have sponsors like Aave, Compound, Polygon, XYZ, whatever. And I used to see like this one company called MATIC Network, which sponsors literally everything. And I was like, what is wrong with these guys? And I knew them from 2017. I heard the name because they were the biggest Indian project back then. There were no Indian projects in 2017, 18. And I had heard the name, and because the MATIC token was trading on almost all exchanges. And then I looked into it and I was like, oh, these are Indian guys. Oh, interesting. I didn't know there was a good Indian project. And then I started doing a lot of their bounties and stuff. Like I used to attend all of their hackathon stuff. And then I just called Sandeep on Discord one day, and all of the sudden, like he was active on some of these hackathon Discords, and I randomly called Sandeep, and he didn't pick up, but he then pinged me later, who's this, and that's how it started. Like I started speaking with him, and then he put me in touch with the BD people, and that time, bro, like MATIC was less than 25 people, and there were like 5 people on the business team. So there was no head of DeFi. There was no DeFi back then. There was only one DeFi protocol. I remember when I joined. This one or two. This was QuickSwap and CometSwap, and that's all. And that's how it began. Like there was no head of DeFi. It just happened. It just happened.
That's awesome. And so you joined at a stage where there was around 25 people already with Polygon?
Yes.
So this may not be something you're as privy to, but what was sort of the history before those 25 people joining? You know, like going back to maybe Polygon starting as a concept. Can you sort of dig into that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it started off as and this was again, like I did know about this in 2017, 18. This started as a plasma research group, plasma research project. So if people who are new to this cycle, the plasma was a very hot Ethereum scaling, hot discussed topic among Ethereum scaling people back in 2018 after CryptoKitties, blocked. Yeah. The first BAT ICO blocked, and then CryptoKitties, completely screwed up Ethereum main chain scalability, gas, and all of that. And that's when like Plasma came up. And Plasma got like Joseph Poon and consensus people, and like a lot of the projects that you see in the scaling space today started from that working group and like that open source project. And JD, who's one of the co-founders, Jayanti, he was one of the like co-researchers over there. And that's where MATIC network started off as a Plasma based solution, 2018. Yes, and a bunch of tooling around developers, and that's how it started. Then came proof of stake chain. This was 2019 testnet, 2020 main chain. Happened the IEO on Binance and all of that happened. So yeah, like the Binance thing happened. Then this mainnet testnet happened. Then mainnet happened. Proof of stake chain happened, which is currently live and the most adopted chain of all. So yeah, that's how it started. It started as a small working group in India, in the Plasma space, and then everything changed.
And then how about when it comes to the name? So I mean, you mentioned when you joined it was MATIC at that point. Now we know it as Polygon, but I guess the token symbol is still MATIC. Like, was that a marketing decision, or why did it transition into being called Polygon?
Oh yeah, so MATIC network. And this was very soon when I had joined. So MATIC network historically had been related to Plasma, and because there was a long history of that. But Plasma as a technology did not scale due to inherent problems with the technology in itself. And then we realized that, and then Sandeep and all the core people realized that we have to expand out of just one solution, and not be fixated to something, because the tech that we are building is so early. Like God knows what will be there in 5 years. Will it be ZK versus OR? Will it be ZK plus optimistic in some weird way? God knows, will be something else. No idea. Because the number of people coming into, the number of retail consumers coming into the space, every cycle goes 100x. Okay, if not 100, like every 20, 30x easily. And God knows, with NFTs and this Instagram and Reddit and all these things, like it might be even 100x next cycle. So the onboarding of people in this space is, like two magnitudes every time. So the tech that we are building today might not be the solution for the future. So we just wanted to, be a unopinionated Ethereum scaling solution and be like, anything that comes up, we will be supporting that. So how the AWS does not really, of course, it bets on certain big products, but it does not, it gives you an unopinionated tools of things, build whatever you want, whether it is NoSQL, SQL, Kafka, or like whatever type of database you want to use. It has the best in class solution for that. And that's similar methodology, because we are so early, similarly, like, the computation technology cycle that happened of cloud, and how AWS was able to, make a killing out of it, is they were unopinionated in a lot of ways, and had the best in class for everything, unbiased, unopinionated. Similarly with Polygon, this thing is a very pragmatic approach, is that we want to have like an unopinionated scaling suite of scaling solutions.
Interesting. And so while we're on the topic of scaling, I mean, I'd love to dig into this more, starting with the basics. So if I can just take a step back with you, what is scaling and why is it important?
Oh, for sure. Scaling is super important for a couple of reasons. Mainly because we believe that Ethereum is the king. This, like, philosophically, technically, implementation wise, whatever it is, in a bunch of ways, Ethereum is the king. But there are inherent, and there have to be, shortcomings of scalability in Ethereum, because it was not designed to be that way. It was designed to be this main settlement layer of, global finance, global culture, global everything. Like, it's a decentralized supercomputer that was supposed to be a settlement layer of everything. And what has happened over time is that, projects that find product market fit want more users, want more users, but want more block space, basically. Like, that's the whole point, right? Everyone fights for that Ethereum block. And when you fight for the Ethereum block, you raise the gas. Like, the whole pricing model works that way. So you bid more, you pump the price more of gas. And the problem with that is, like, users, you start removing the average user buy-in into that app. So if you're paying, like, I remember I had paid $500 for one transaction, or I would have get liquidated. Like, I thought,
Crazy.
This is too much. Even today, like, some of these NFT mints, now it's not too much now, but I think like 6 months ago, some of these NFT mints were like crazy. Some of them, like, we even went to like $1,000, I remember. And why, you also have to understand, like, why users have to understand why people are doing that. People are doing that because, of course, speculation is one major part, but also because there is some inherent cultural and financial value to some of these products that are being there. Whether it is Aave Compound, whether it is, NFTs, games, all of these, there is some inherent product market fit why users are using these protocols. And if we have to onboard, and if we, and the whole vision of Polygon and everyone in the space and every good builder in the space is to make this space not Web3, to make this web, like the future of web, and not be like Web3 versus Web2, and just make it like the future of web and future of computing and everything. So, and that will only come when you onboard not 10 million, but you onboard the next hundreds of million people. And that is not going to come on a gas fees, which is $5 or $10 or $100. No way. They are going to be, gas is going to become commoditized. It will become back. It'll be like a back of the mind thing where apps start paying for gas for users, like how Coinbase and Binance have done this zero trading fees, right? Like gas is the race to zero. I feel, of course, but there are good and bad, like spam and those things. We will have more technology built in that. But if we have to onboard the next 100 million and 200, 500 million users, gas has to be on the background. It can't be, on the front.
Yeah, it's such a good point. I mean, this last bull market, at the height of it, you're right. The gas fees were just insane, unusable. And I remember trying to explain to some people, like my friends who don't use blockchain or crypto a lot, and they're trying to make basic transactions. And they were kind of like, hold on a second, this is going to cost me what, like $50 to make, like, it doesn't make sense to them. So I think you're right. And especially when we talk about the future of, when more and more transactions are going to be possible, so something like gaming, well, you can't be paying that type of thing for every single transaction. So what I'm hoping to dive deeper into is, a lot of our audience, I'm sure, is familiar with the terms of the different layers. So layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. But if you can just dive a little bit deeper into that, because when I say layer 3, we had a recent guest on who was talking about at the last DevCon that layer 3 was now kind of one of the things that was being brought up, which is like, hold on, we're just wrapping our heads around layer 2 kind of thing. But can you kind of dive into like what these different layers are all about? And then also, as you move on to layer 2 to do a transaction, is there any trade-off? I mean, are you trading off? We talk about like the security and the decentralization and all of those sorts of things. Are there trade-offs for using layer 2 instead of layer 1?
For sure. I mean, if you're using a roll-up, then, certain, so you are definitely, so security remains same. Like if you're using a roll-up, so, you can, even if, the validator or like everyone on the network starts colluding against you, even if one person is, right or technically right. So you can always verify using that one validator and move your money back. And this has happened a couple of times, not too many times. It has happened a couple of times. So that you can do. So security is the same as L1. Second thing is that is of course like you should use. And it's not about you should use, it's about where the builders are going. The builders is what drives usage, right? Like apps, people don't go to use Polygon. People go to use Aave on Polygon or OpenSea on Polygon. And these dApps will only go where they see users coming, and users will come where low gas is there, basically. And that's like a weird, like, circle thing. And the trade-offs is definitely like, because the tech is early. Ethereum has been there for like what, 10 years now? No, less than that, like seven years now.
Yeah, 7 years. Yeah.
7 years. Sorry, I was thinking Bitcoin. 6-7 years. Yeah. So yeah, like, I mean, the Lindy effect and like all the things that Ethereum has gone through like almost 2 cycles now, 2 big cycles. Yeah, kind of like, yeah, two big cycles. And MATIC network has been like through 1 big cycle. All these projects have gone through only like half or 1 cycle. So stress test happens over time, and of course these technologies are new. So
and so going back to just the first part too, is keeping it super simple. What even does layer 1, layer 2, and layer 3 mean? Like, what are those different layers when we look at them?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the user will not be able to, once, a lot of tech, these tech stuff that is gets built. There's a lot of stuff that, so basically layer 1 is your Ethereum. Like layer 2 is any roll up that is building on top of that L1, which is on layer 2, which is like Polygon ZK VM, Arbitrum, Optimism, anything. And the thing there is that you can make your own layer. The app on layer 2 can make their own roll up for any sort of high fidelity, high like intensive computation. So a lot of like these, what do I say? A lot of these DeFi projects. I'll start with DeFi. I have a perfect example for NFT also. Is DeFi. Yeah. So a lot of DeFi projects want to, now that DeFi is getting more sophisticated with sophisticated market participants, financial market participants getting into the system, they want to operate, they want to do computation on privately somewhere else, but have it proven somewhere, so that if someone wants to audit it, they don't have to trust that dApp builder, which you can do it on NoSQL or anywhere in AWS, but have it on a blockchain, that on a rollup that has same security, same provability, same everything. And this is just an example that I'm saying. So they can use that for proving competition. For example, one of the projects that is building on Polygon is it's an options market. All of the pricing that they want to do is off-chain, is on a separate chain, not off-chain, but on a separate chain, and do all the actuary, all the financial mathematics on the other side, and then bring it on chain as a proof, and then use that proof in their app. So they are gas efficient on the layer 2 side as well, because they see this. So good builders, they'll see that 100x if the user happens, which should happen. If 100x it happens, how much will the gas go? And this kind of thought process is why layer 3s are also very important. This is one example. Second example, which I think is some of these NFT mints that happen, the gaming NFT mints, especially, not the PFP NFTs, but the gaming NFTs. When it happens, there's a lot of gaming NFTs that happen at once. The supply is high because there are gaming characters and they happen continuously. So in a world where, these big gaming companies are like 20 million, 50 million users, and if all of these happen at once, like that layer 2 most likely is going to go down, or the gas is going to go very high. Same thing like Ethereum. So what I feel one use case interesting could be, and some of these projects are thinking in that direction, is that you mint on at that point of time. Let's say t equals to 0, you have to mint. At t minus 1, you instantiate a app specific rollup, mint everything there, bring those NFTs back on L2. And because the minting happens on L3, so gas only increases of L3 and not of L2, which is a shared layer between everything else, between all the other types of apps as that NFT gaming app. So that way, people can get in without paying too much gas, because so that's why it's a closed environment in that sense. That's the kind of thing I think will become more and more interesting in the coming years.
Ulf, do you realize our audience has been either watching or listening to this episode for 20 minutes?
20 minutes? No, they should probably subscribe.
Yeah, they should subscribe. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you comment and turn on notifications. And if you're listening to this podcast, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating and a review.
We're also on Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. So go check out the episode description. You can find all that information below. And we have an update on the NFT, don't we?
That's right. We didn't previously mention this, but this NFT for OG supporter is a 1 of 1. There will only be one of this kind ever minted, and we have a few surprises for the person who purchases it. The link is in the episode description.
And back to the episode.
So Hamzah, I'm curious then, we talk about all the reasons of why, like keeping gas low and everything to use these layer 2s and then even layer 3s in the future. And I know it's hard to predict looking down that way, but will anyone, in your opinion, use like let's say 10 years down, will anyone even be using Ethereum layer 1 as or will it just be a whale chain, or what do you think?
They're all just the layer 2s use layer 1,
Yeah. That part I agree. That part 100% is all of these rollups, app specific rollups, layer 2s are going to use. It'll be more of a settlement thing than a transaction thing right now, because, and who knows, people might still use, but that percentage will be very, 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 very small. It will be like 0.001% people if we have like 1 billion people in the next 10 years using these chains, then 0.01% or 0.001% people will be using that for some reasons. I don't know. I don't know what happens. But most of the retail and the big apps will be using these layer 2s if they have to become successful. If they have to reach adoption, not successful, it's a different thing. But like if they have to reach adoption.
And one thing I want to get into in this conversation a little bit is furthering that outlook on gaming. You gave a good use case and an example of how games, in order for that to work at a large scale, they'll probably need to operate on their own private chain, their own layer 3 chain, and then that will sort of settle on the layer 2, and layer 2 settles on layer 1, if I'm all understanding that correctly. But and feel free to correct me, please.
Yeah, more or less. Yes.
Yeah. And then, so my question though is, as gaming does adopt crypto and blockchain technology and NFTs in gaming become more popular and mainstream, how I guess, where do you see that going? Like, how do you see that playing out? Because something we've talked about with a lot of our guests is how right now there still aren't any mainstream games that have mainstream adoption of NFTs. It seems like it's a struggle. And is the technology just not there yet? And when do you think it will get there?
No, bro. Like, I think technology is not so much of a technology problem now. Of course, technology is not yet there. But even the users are not there. So even if you build something damn cool, it'll take time. But the main thing is games are very hard to build. Like, good games are genuinely very hard to build, and not like, these play to earn things. And game economies are very hard to create, both from a game theory standpoint plus from a technical standpoint. Like, if you look at any of these big games, I'm not talking about like God of War, Metal Gear, or like these big titles, but I'm just talking about like even these like casual gaming projects that come up. Like, these are big studios that make these big things. Like, even on today, like on Polygon, like Animoca has a bunch of projects, where there's Benji Bananas, Arcade. So they have a lot of users. These are all like mostly mobile users. So that kind of stuff is there already. But if you're talking about like AAA games, these games take time to build. It's not like DeFi as much as I wanted, but where you can, everything is open source. You can fork it. You can do whatever you want, and it's just a bunch of like logic in smart contracts. It's not like that. This is you have to make it fun. You have to make it engaging. There's design. There's art. There's animation. There's so much stuff that happens not even on the blockchain side. That's on the client side, on the Unity or Unreal Engine side. So that's difficult to build, and it takes time. But I think in the next 1 year, 1 to 1.5 years, we'll see some good stuff coming up.
One of the things I noticed, so in 2021, I first learned about NFTs, and then I got more and more into the NFT space. And what I noticed is over time, especially earlier this year, more and more projects deciding to launch or mint on Polygon. And so for myself, I went through the education process of, okay, how do I kind of bridge over to Polygon and get involved with some of these NFT projects? But we've talked about this a lot of times on our show. For us, talking about how to do that process, we can understand it because we've been in the space for a little while, but remembering that so many people are brand new to this, and anything's confusing. Setting up a MetaMask wallet's confusing. Where do you think things have to get to in order to be easy enough? We talk about onboarding all of these people to the space, like something like bridging. Where do you think that needs to get to be easy enough for everyone to just take that on?
Yeah, I think bridging. I don't think and it's maybe a controversial thing to say, but I don't think bridging is the onboarding tool for masses. And this I can say because if I tell anyone, any new person, I never say oh, use Polygon bridge, I say go via Coinbase or go via Binance or go via your MetaMask wallet download app, or you use Robinhood app, which is coming now, non-custodial wallet. So Robinhood, they have, or you go from your Robinhood app, your crypto app, to this non-custodial wallet. And I think wallets are the onboarding, mobile wallets are the future of onboarding, and bridging will only be for crypto people, degens like you and I, that know how to use these things. Because these are complex things, man. Like I'm sure you must have seen, and sometimes it is weird for me also. If I'm trying to explore some new stuff, because the security assumptions are very high. Then a lot of stuff, like you have seen everything go down in the past 12 to 18 months. So yeah, like I don't think these bridges will be the consumer facing side of things. I think wallets, and there are some very good UX, some very good like Sequence wallet on Polygon is amazing. Like Phantom is doing great. Phantom wallet, the Robinhood wallet, I have started using it more, and they'll make it public now. They only have announced it for 10,000 people on like Apple test flight, but they have already 1.5 million signups on the app. And these are all exclusive Polygon. So, and the onboarding process is like 15 seconds into it, into the app. So that kind of stuff is what I think will make it very, very interesting. And no, yeah, so the answer, I don't think bridges are going to be that thing.
No, it's a good point. But you started that statement by saying this might be controversial. And I'm wondering, is that because, a lot of people in the crypto space, there's kind of the attitude of not your keys, not your coins, and they feel like maybe that's not decentralized enough using some of those third parties? Or why do you think that that's kind of, because I tend to agree with you. I mean, it's tough enough for some people to download a basic app and set it up that way, let alone all of the complex things we're talking about. So I think it needs to be that easy, but I'm just curious why you think maybe some in the space might push back on that.
No, I think it's important to have security, and some of these bridges are very, like some interesting ZK bridges are coming up. I think ZK client bridging, which is I think will change a lot of security assumptions that we have taken for granted in this space. But yeah, I don't know why I said that. Maybe, but I think people always think that, oh, bridges are, what will connect masses. I've heard this statement a couple of times. That's why I said, I disagree. And one thing I think is like this, the key custody and the security of the key, these non-custodial wallets that are doing, I think that is still early. That's why I said, and there are some skeptics of that, and rightly so. That's why I said, we are early in that stage. But I think that is the way ahead.
Awesome. Hamzah, this has been a really interesting conversation. I feel like, we can have you back on in a few months and dive deeper, because there's a whole world to this. But we want to ask you, so every guest we have on the show, we ask the same 3 questions. It's a little segment that we call You Had Me at Crypto. And so you're not getting away without answering those questions. So Ulf's going to ask you those 3.
All right, Hamzah, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. The first question is, who is your favorite person to follow in the crypto space?
Who's my favorite person to follow on Twitter?
In the crypto space. Yeah. So probably on Twitter.
Vitalik, I think, I mean, yeah, hands down. I think some of the stuff that he says, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it. Second question, what will the price of Bitcoin be 10 years from now?
Oh, God, no.
Don't worry, it's a 10-year price prediction. We do it just $1 million. It's not financial advice.
We force every guest to throw a dart at the dartboard and take a guess.
I don't know, $1 million, I guess. I don't know.
There you go. That's probably the most popular answer.
There was one Zac Efron movie which is coming up, and in the trailer, it is a like dystopian future. Someone had tweeted this on. This was that he was sitting in the car and he's going, and it's like 50 years down the line or something. Yeah. And there's that the Bitcoin price. In the radio, it says the Bitcoin price now trading at 1.5 million or something like that.
Nice. Love it.
There you go.
On the big screen. All right. Question 3. What is the most underrated coin or project in all of crypto?
I wouldn't say coin. No way. I can't say coin. I think
Fair
project.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in DeFi. People, I think this is the lowest sentiment of DeFi that I have seen since DeFi summer. And people are just discarding DeFi because of the yields are low, because of like some systemic things that went down with Terra and all of those things. But I philosophically believe, and all the smart people, I don't claim to be smart or whatever, I think these institutions are, like you yesterday saw the JP Morgan thing, settling transactions on Polygon Open. There are so many hedge funds, there are so many institutional money managers looking into allocating capital into DeFi, allocating their capital on these protocols as well as into these protocols. So those things are happening. I think the money sitting on the sideline is very, very smart. As much as they want to ape into a Punk or BAYC, but they will buy only stuff that makes sense. And I think DeFi right now is the only thing that makes sense. And of course, I'm super long bullish gaming and everything. But today, if you ask me, in the next 3 months, if you ask me, I think DeFi is the only, and of course I'm biased because I do all DeFi, but I think that's the only product market fit we have right now.
Hamzah, one final thing I want to ask you about before we let you go is just, there's been a bunch of announcements you mentioned there. I saw yesterday on Twitter Meta announcing that, there's going to be the ability to make and sell NFTs on Instagram, and that's going to be powered by Polygon. What does Polygon have cooking up in the future in this bear market that who knows how long we'll be in it? But what are some of the things that are being worked on right now that maybe we'll see in the future?
Yeah, from the DeFi, I'll say from the DeFi side, there's a lot of institutional DeFi products getting built. There's a lot of institutional projects looking into the space, looking into Polygon first, which is what changed, and RWA, real world assets, bringing real world assets from the real world and bringing it on chain, because I think that is the future of DeFi. That is where things are going to go. That is where yield is going to come on chain. Uncorrelated yield is going to come on chain, and not just, we going around each other doing the same thing for the past 2 years that we have been doing. I think this is the time we change, we shift, just circle jerking around each other with this yield, and but we bring off chain, uncorrelated real yield on chain. Like that is the future.
Cool. Love it. Hamzah, this has been a great conversation, an overdue one for us, talking about scaling, talking about Polygon. Thank you so much for joining Ulf and I on this episode of Show Me the Crypto.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
Thank you for listening to Show Me the Crypto. Please make sure to subscribe as well as rate and review this podcast.